Go, 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 go. Who's gonna be live first? Who's gonna be live first? I'm live first. Bam. Yeah, we gotta wait a minute, and this one still hasn't done it yet. Come on. There we go. Okay, we might want to mute. Okay, but it wasn't up there yet, but it was going. Hey, I always gotta be the person to hold this stupid thing. I don't want to hold the iPad. It doesn't have the same angle, you guys. It sucks. So y'all already know it's gonna be on me, and then I'll turn it towards her. Hey, it's Camille. Hola, maestra.
Who else? Is it me?
Oh, I mean, Kamaria, because I recognize the tree-looking thingamabobber from Acapella.
Hola.
Yeah.
How sad we are. Y'all see us when we're like,
I know, right? It's like, this thing makes me feel like we somebody's grandma.
Oh, gracias, Keke.
What she say? Ooh, girl. Yes. Okay, there we go. Look, you see, I'm just so vain. I'll just take it with, anyway.
You're so vain. You probably know that song.
Wait a minute.
You probably think this song is about you.
Don't you? It is, because I'm the shit. Oh.
Y'all already know. Oh, my goodness. Y'all going blind. Whatever. I just say whatever in Espanol.
We are in rare freaking form. You better watch out. We might reach out and touch someone. Yes.
We're all full of songs.
I know.
It must be you, KK.
It's you. Yes, it's Kamaria's fault. We are in song mode.
Yes, ma'am.
But anywho,
we're here on Monday.
Because it's couch conversation time.
Mm-hmm. So for those of you who might not know who this is, like, it just happened somehow to be the first one you're catching. I'll tell you a little bit about what we're doing here. Basically, I am Imani Aisha, marriage coach.
And I am August Crenshaw, business coach.
And we come in here to talk about how the real deal on how the two meld and how to keep your sanity and so that you're thriving and not just surviving in both your marriage and your business.
Yes, and we keep on having people that are responding in the group, saying, "Oh my God, Imani, you had me do this, and it made me see how I'm not showing up in my business." August, you had me do this, and it helped me see how I'm not showing up in my marriage. And so we come out here once a week to give you your mental tidbit, to energize you, to reinvigorate you. And she caught me, Tammy, inside joke. You're not going to be creating the extended version today. We're at the beginning for a change. But to inspire you and invigorate you, and for some of you to challenge your thoughts and to always open up a door for you guys to continue to take it further. And so we're really passionate about what we do, because over and over and over again, I remember I had a group with 15 women in it, and I'd be like, wait a minute, you're not showing up. What's going on? And it would come back to, I got this thing going on with my husband and whoop, 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 whoop. And so I was like, oh God, I can help you a little bit.
I don't really want to.
A matter of fact, I can help you a whole lot. But that's not my lane. And so that's your nugget even for today, automatically at the beginning. What we're talking about, you can't even necessarily soak it in and apply it unless you are doing that thing. That is you. That's your life force, being in your lane. But
that's a beautiful thing. And I'm just adding to that I think one of the things that sets us apart is we are not afraid or fearful to be like, look, we're doing the same things that we are helping other women do. We're living that. We're both married and we're both entrepreneurs. And even though our husbands are dealing in our businesses in different capacities, when we have the conversations, a lot of the same things come up, a lot of the same vulnerabilities, a lot of the same, hiccups come up, but we have, we've been equipped to kind of work through them in a certain way. And, because I even say for me, I'm like, okay, I had to have a deep conversation with my husband. And I was like, I don't really know how he's going to take it, but I approach it the way that I work through and teach people to approach it. And he was very receptive. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
But we do. And I know that for you, you're like, look, if this is what's going on in my business, I know how to pivot. I know how to make things, work. I know how to, you know what I'm saying? It's about to be through the roof and you didn't even see it happening. Mm-hmm. And that's the beauty, I think, too, is that we're coming from a place of relatability and understanding.
Absolutely. And I see Danina and Jean, everybody is showing up. Yay. And I want to add to that. And so we kind of segue in a little bit, but a lot of you already get this. I talk to people all the time and I tell them that you can't compartmentalize your attributes. Yeah. Not just your business versus your kids versus your spouse. I want you all to understand that you really can't compartmentalize your attributes. So you'll say that I'm patient overall, but in these circumstances, I'm not. And you have to learn to truly, truly practice what you preach. And so if you're consistent across the board. Of course, there are degrees of consistency, but overall, if you're impatient, you're impatient. It's just about the question you have to ask yourself is what will happen? You might have to exercise more patience at your job with people than you would if you weren't at your job because you don't want to lose it. But an attribute is what an attribute is. And so like Imani was saying, because I do a lot of mindset works, that means that I'm highly introspective. If there's something going on with me and I notice that I'm not getting the kind of results that I desire, then I start taking a deep look within. And so a lot of you guys know that I've been taking Spanish lessons with Camille now, and I literally had to go into that group and have a moment of truth. Because in the process of me why is it that I'm not using language the way that I should be? I'm an excellent communicator. And I literally am very proud of the fact, I tell you guys to brag about your gifts and your abilities. I'm very proud of the fact that I can effectively communicate a message to people and allow them to have epiphanies and understand stuff with the sound of my voice. But with Spanish, it's like, okay, wait a minute. Okay, lo tengo. Why am I saying it before I have? Where I want to say tengo lo. And it's like, so because I don't want to sound stupid when I'm saying something, and I don't want to sound limited because I'm only going to keep on saying hola, ¿cómo estás? A part of me mentally was breaking down. And so I had to dissect it. It wasn't because I didn't have enough vocabulary words. It's not because I don't have enough to communicate effectively. It's because I'm constantly holding the microscope over myself because I scrutinize stuff a lot. My kids are speaking and running it. Bye-bye. Real life mompreneur. And so anyway, when we're talking about the stuff that we're talking about, we really do want you guys to get that we're not pointing fingers. We're not making stuff up. And Larry, now he's making a game out of it. Hey, babe, lock the door. And maybe hang them outside the patio.
We're gonna go viral.
Like the one video the guy was trying to do the news.
And his kids just, and his wife's right.
Oh God, hilarious as hell. So yeah, when we talk about we can see the layers, we're saying that because we see them with ourselves. Right. We do practice what we preach.
Right.
And with that being said, what we're gonna be preaching about today is, would you like to take the throne and I'll be back in a second?
Yes. So, it's all right. Hey, ladies. So, we're going to be talking about the fact that it is not just one thing, right? And so, in some way, shape, or form, August and I have put that on our video to say, look, it's not just one thing, because often when we're dealing, whether it's business or when we're dealing with our marriage, we're like, you know what? If I could just figure out how to sell, I would be good. Or if I could just figure out, how to communicate more effectively, we would be good. But those things are not just one thing. They're not just, if I read this book on communication, somehow everything's going to click for me and I'm going to be this amazing communicator in my marriage. Or if I read this book on mindset, that I'm going to have everything I need to have a thriving business. And while all of those components are important, we want to talk about the fact that you can't start saying like it's just one thing that I need to do. If I just have, read this book, if I just go to this workshop on X, if I go to this webinar on Y, then I know that's going to be the catalyst and the thing that's going to move me completely forward. When the reality is, it's always layered. So I kind of love it when somebody tells me, I just need to work on one. This is one thing we need to work on. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me what that one thing is. I'm intrigued. Go ahead. I'm listening. What's that one thing? And then they say what that one thing is. And I'm like, okay. And then we get to the conversation and we start breaking it down. They're like, oh, I said one thing, but then we talked about, the perspective that I have. And we talked about something that happened when I was, a kid that's, like my issues with perfection. And we were talking about like, where did all this come from? I just came for this one thing. But the reality is if you want to change that one thing, that you have to peel back the layers and you have to handle the layers, And so we wanted to address that with some real talk from the perspective of both the marriage and the business aspect.
Absolutely. And it makes me think about what's going on right now because I have some awesome ladies that are in the called Providence Closing Sales Club, right? Yes. And the ladies, and this is no disrespect to them, this is just pointing out something. We're like, oh my God, one of the things that's going to help my business flourish is if I could just learn how to sell. And that's an honorable thing. It's true. A lot of times it's the primary missing component. I see a lot of brilliant women who have excellent products and who serve to the highest capacity. They quote unquote have their shit together. But what typically happens is that they're still not thriving in their business because they have an issue with sales. You guys got to excuse me because I'm trying to make sure I got everything up so I can make sure that I am seeing the comments because I'm not going to be doing this the entire video.
Yeah.
And so now that they're in there and I'm like, okay, well, simple questions. Like, okay, not locking you into anything in particular, but when you sell your products, what are those foundational things that you do with every client? And they're like, well, I can tell you these two things, but they'll swear up and down that every client situation is different. Hey, Stephanie, I see you too. And it's like, no, every client situation may be different, but there's a foundational component to that. Right. But if you can't label what you do in incremental parts, it's going to be difficult for you to learn the technique of talking someone down the path of what they need from you, because you don't even know where you're guiding them, because you don't know what you're going to do with them. And because no one ever taught you to believe and to know that you are the expert and you know what you're doing. A lot of times you guys don't want to label what you do systematically. Yes. That's a very difficult one for a lot of people to grasp. Wait a minute, August, you want me to say that every time I work with someone, I do blank, blank, blank? Yes, I do. Because I can tell you right now, remember when I gave you guys the 5 questions, I say, what do you do? Who do you serve? You know what I mean? What is your business? What do you do? Who do you serve? What kind of products and services do you have to offer? And what is that transformation that's going to come on the other side of that? Very basic questions. I got to ask everybody. Mm-hmm. The outcome will be different, but I'm so laser focused on what I do. I know that any one of those questions at any given moment is going to open up the rabbit hole for me to be able to see where there's a level of vagueness, where they have a hole, where there's some help that they need. And so not being able to do that. Yeah. Is difficult. Then you have people that'll say things like, oh, well, when it comes to following up, I never really follow up. I kind of just tell people to contact me when you're ready. And I'm like, but aren't you passionate about what you're doing? And they don't want to seem overbearing. They don't want to feel like a bugaboo. Yeah. And they don't, because they don't have a sales conversation, because they haven't went through some mindset glitches and not understanding the difference between spamming somebody from an MLM perspective versus structuring the conversation for there to be an expectation for a follow-up. That has a lot to do with your confidence and some other things. And so there's always this layer that has to be peeled back in order for you to get where you're going. And it's so easy for you all to say, oh, all I need help with is.
Right. And I used to mention you start talking about the glitch of, oh, you want me to do this for everyone? And, because the outcome is going to be different. Everyone's going to have a different answer because they're in different business. Mm-hmm. They're the unique identifier of their business. So your answer is going to be different in how you deal with that. And I would say one of the glitches when it comes to folks in marriage, you're like, it's just this one thing. It's this whole thing of like, it's not that bad. You know what I mean? And I had a whole thing this morning. I did a video this morning and I put up a post kind of related to this. It was prompted by that question because I asked somebody straight up, when I talked to them a few weeks ago, like, so, where are you, with this? And they were like, we're talking about all the issues, even though they're good, they're loving, they don't want to, they don't want to punch their husband in the face. that's fine. That's one end of the spectrum. But I'm like, really, it's not that bad. I was like, if we look at that for a second, you have to ask yourself, because that question, it almost cracks me up a little bit, not because it's funny, but because it's like, well, is it bad at all? It's like, it doesn't hurt that much, but does it hurt at all? Like, is it supposed to hurt? You know what I mean? Like, at this point, like, is it supposed to feel like, oh my gosh, you're supposed to wait until you damn near done and you do want to punch them in the face? Like,
right.
if there's aspects of it that you feel are bad at all, like, then it's not that bad, great, that's awesome. But if there are aspects that you want to elevate, then why wait to elevate them? You know
exactly.
what I mean?
And I gotta say something on the business side of that. And those of you that are out there, you'll feel me. And I'll use you as an example, Jean. When you work in health, so how bad does it have to be? You know what I'm saying? Is a person supposed to wait until they go into a diabetic coma before they come to you and get help with health? And a lot of you all, it's unfortunate that this is a natural mechanism in most people, is to not move. You're not proactive, you're reactive. And so I'll hear people say, oh, my business, instead of them saying it's not that bad, well, people will say, well, my business is fine. My business is doing okay. And I want to challenge you guys, because thank you for whoever's sending the hearts, because here's the reality. A lot of you, y'all know I'm in rare form today. Y'all got piss poor, shitty ass businesses because you doing a little bit better than you was doing on your job. You feel like, well, my business is okay. You have such low, shallow expectations. Speaking to somebody like me kind of messes you up in the brain, because why does August see so much more from my business than I do? Right. But why do you only see that your business is okay? And it's funny because one of the things I had the ladies in the group do is I had them go through and dissect everything it takes for them to run their business. And those of you that have been following me long enough, you know that I teach not to say that you're an entrepreneur. Say that I'm a business owner, because when you say I'm an entrepreneur, then you're only identifying with that point of service. If I'm identified with coaching, I'm a coach, I'm an entrepreneur, then that means when I make money, I'm like, oh, I charge somebody $500. I talk to them for 2 hours. That means I made $250 an hour. But what about the promotion time? What about the back and forth with setting up the appointment? What about the free call you had with them before they surrender to do a paid call? What about the report that you possibly wrote to give to them once you were finished? What about the ad that you potentially paid for in order for them to receive it? What about all of the emails that you scheduled out? And when you start thinking like a business owner and thinking about everything it takes to run your business, you'd be like, dang, I got to work 40 hours this week. Now, all of a sudden, that same $250 does not have the same ring to it. No, it does not at all. And so you got to really ask yourself, hey, how are you doing? Am I thinking like an entrepreneur, or am I thinking like a business owner? Because I'm shooting myself in the foot with my calculations if I only think of myself as an entrepreneur and that point of service at that time. But once again, if you're thinking like that, then you'll think that I only need one thing and everything will make everything okay. If I could just sell more, but your business is in the dumps and you're not making the money that you're worthy of making, you're not even getting your just due. And me telling you that, a lot of y'all think I'm crazy. But I had a client, I'm about to pass the mic back. I had a client come into the group. She closed her first sale. She has 2 facets of her business. And we've been knocking it out the park together with improving on what she has on this facet. But this other one was new for her. And I kept on telling her, calculate the cost, calculate the cost. And I won't give her numbers, but let's just say she wants to charge $400 for what she's doing. And I'm like, you do understand in 1 month, this is worth $800. And she's like, girl, 800? Ain't nobody gonna pay me no $800. People broke nowadays. And, we going through this back and forth. Even when she's not saying those words, I know what she's thinking. She's been priming people with this stuff that I've been having her do, so people know beyond a shadow of a doubt who she is. And it helps too that this person knew her prior to, but because she wasn't promoting and doing certain things, they didn't realize that she had this entity in her business that she could offer. And when she stated the price, she also did something I did not teach her to do, and that was to say, oh, I know you probably want to speak with your husband first. You don't give them an out. If they say that, that's fine. Right. And the woman was like, well, how much is it? And she's like, oh, just $400 a month. And then she's like, girl, that's it. I ain't got to talk to my husband about $400. I thought you was going to say more than that. And she said in her mind, she was thinking, shit, I should have told her $200. And she said, I heard your voice in my head, August, saying that people that really are my ideal clients. And somebody you laughing. So let's see, Orchard Entry. Yeah, if you Orchard Entry, yeah. If you she's like, oh my God, I wish I would have listened to you. And it's like, no harm, no foul, but I bet you the next one that comes, you gonna raise that price up. And so even to say all of that, she's a very successful woman. She's very established and she's already making a shit ton of money. She wouldn't be paying me if she wasn't.
And she knows her stuff.
And she really, really knows her stuff. But do you guys see that me teaching her how to sell was not enough? We still had layers to peel back. So there's no such thing as one success secret. You never need just one thing.
Right.
It's always more.
Right. And it is. And I might have a client who's like, oh, I'm in a place where I'm not feeling very trusting. I'm like, okay, we can talk about that. But that permeates how they show up, how they're talking to their spouse, how vulnerable they can be. And even the word vulnerability, I remember a client was like, oh, I don't like that. I don't know. You know what I mean? But the reality is they wanted a whole lot of vulnerability from their husband. They wanted their husband to open up because it was like, if you would do this and open up, then I would trust you and I would open up and all these issues, this issue that I have with trust would dissipate. But the reality is the issue that she has with the trust is coming from, her, how she deals with, friends, how she's showing up, how she trusts people in general. And it's like, hold up, I thought it was just because of, my husband. It was like, no, there's this other. So if we get to the root of that, then you're going to be free of that. And no, it doesn't take 5 years to get to it. We dig in, we get to it like, oh, okay, the epiphanies happen and you start to feel differently in your spirit. You start to act and deal differently. And so when somebody says, oh, it's this thing, there's always this other piece to it. Mm-hmm. And you don't want to deal in that fear of, and I get it, well, people going to think that, I've only been married for this long, or I've been married for this long and I should know X and I should know my spouse. But here's something that's real. You don't really know until you're in the thick of your marriage. And there are going to be more than one thick times in your marriage. Yes. You really don't know. You're like, oh my God, it's been 10 years and I'm just now realizing this about you, or I'm just now clicking something about myself. And if that's true, which it is, if that's true, then there's no way that you can be in a space where like, I'm so comfortable. I've been married X. I know my husband like the back of my hand. I know how he's going to deal with this. This is why exactly I don't say this or do this, because some of you have that. You talked about this idea of my business is okay. My business is fine. And we talk about this a lot, this mediocre kind of, right. idea. I did a post the other day about settling. And I'm like, I'm not saying you necessarily settle on the person, but did you settle in the marriage?
Yeah.
Did you settle in the marriage? Because you're over here talking about your marriage is fine. Your marriage is okay. But really you have something that's not so bad, but that means there's a piece of it that needs to be worked on. And because the bills may be paid, there's food on the table, the kids are getting to school, you're like, okay, we're good, we're coasting, like we don't have any big issues, you know what I'm saying? So the reality is that you've settled for, okay, the basic foundational things that you should have.
Functional things.
Right. Yes, that's better. You're functioning, and you start to say, you know what, we're going through the motions, y'all. We're going through the motions in the marriage. We don't actually have a close-knit connection. Because I tell people, I'm like, you don't want to do marriage. You know what I mean? Like marriage is not something you do, like
it's not supposed to be.
Right. It's not supposed to be a thing you do. Like, oh, I'm just gonna go. We're gonna do this marriage thing. You know what I mean? Making sure the bills are paid. We live together. We sleep together. We talk about things, we debrief every week to make sure that, the kids are where they're supposed to be. We've got a shared calendar, so you're like, we're doing marriage and you're like, oh, it's going great because you're not in conflict all the time. Maybe you are, you know what I'm saying? Because conflict is like, it can be outward and a lot of it's inward, because if you're in the routine, Have you been on autopilot and found yourself hitting a tree? Are you bored? You know what I mean? And so all of these things come into play. Do you feel that you can really be safe and vulnerable with your spouse, right? And so being in a situation where you feel like you're going through the motions, then you know, and I know that it's not one thing, but what's stopping you from really delving into that is you're like, dang, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of that. That rabbit hole may be well too deep for me. But you are amazing, and you are smart, and you are caring enough to care enough about the marriage to even be thinking on that level. And so think about what it is that you're worth and what it is that you deserve for your marriage. You're connected with somebody forever. Last time I checked, forever is a long time. You know what I mean? So you don't want to be living in it's not that bad until it is in a I'm gonna use your word because I'm here with the covenant that you have created for yourself forever. You don't want to be in that type of situation. I see you, Jean.
Yeah, I was gonna say they hammering in on the content.
I know.
She said no, but unfortunately a lot of people do. To the health thing, say that people evolve, and I'm coming back to that. I'm glad you said that, Jean. I'm going to that. Those assumptions can run you into a ruin. You're existing, not living. Debrief, LOL, functional isn't always optimal. And aging and life experiences cause us to evolve over time through different stages. So while we know our spouse, we must accept the fact for each decade of life, we change, and change is inevitable. And I like the fact that you put that out there, but I'm going to take it a step further, okay? Y'all always know when you say something, especially if it's pertaining to mindset and behaviors, I'm going to take it another step further. What I have found, and I have yet to find a single client who really truly even knows themselves. Let me say that really clear. I'm going to bring to light one person, and for those of you that saw it when we streamed it live, Lynn Meyer was a phenomenal client of mine. And I was like, we going through these questions. I'm asking her about things that are centered around confidence and fear. She's like, I'm confident. I'm not afraid of this. I'm not afraid of that. And I don't try to force any of my philosophies or methodologies down anyone's throat. But I did tell her, I said, okay, what I want you to look at is I want you to look at this behavior, in this situation, that situation. You don't want to call it fear. That's fine. You come back here and you give me a better word for it. But I'm sitting here telling you, you're telling me you want this in your business. You're doing this. Those two are not aligning. And that's because I see you not operating in the most confident space that you can. She will tell you, and she said it on her testimonial video, I thought I was confident until I worked with August Crenshaw. And now I'm on this whole other level of confidence. And so what I want you all to take into consideration is this. I'm going to give you one example as to why you don't even know who you are. Because whoever raised you, unfortunately, they didn't know who the hell they were. And I'll give you an example since I have 4 kids. I am an introvert. So I like quiet. Imagine me, I'm not that kind of quiet, but imagine me having super hyperactive kids and having this one really quiet kid and telling the other kids, why can't you just be like your other sister? She's just so quiet and she just goes along and she gets along. And so while you as a child, you want to be active, you want to be not obnoxious, just be the star that you are. You've got a parent that in order for you to be comfortable, so I'm not telling you, would you just please be quiet? Right. I'm not making you clench up and be something else. You've learned to make it by adaptation. And so you've learned from the very beginning to go along and to get along. And this is being very real. I see so many women that come to me who got this go get 'em, kind of persona, who when it's time to present their business, they're kind of like, okay, let me just say this and let me just be this way. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Your message and what you wrote down about your goals and your business is so vibrant and it's so exciting. Where is that woman and why is she not showing up? And they'll be like, oh, well, and I'm like, And so after we peel back the layers and we do the mindset work, I'm like, wait a minute. Ain't nobody celebrating you for being who you are, the way you are. And I'm going to use another client for an example, and I'm going to pass the baton back because Camille is phenomenal. And a lot of you all, if you didn't know it, which I used to always tell her, I don't care. And I would ask her questions on the slide just to see what she would say. She's not anti-white, but in a world where there's a disproportionate amount of funding that goes towards African-American children, we might as well just cut language out the box. Yeah. She has a business where she specifically wants to serve little brown babies. So I would throw curveballs at her and be like, well, what if it's a white family with a little kid? Or what if it's a white mama who's a woman that says she a teacher, she teach Black kids? You know, where do you compromise? What's this? What's that? And by bringing those kind of questions up, I had to get her to come out. And I'm not talking about her, but let's think about this. As soon as we as Black people, for my sisters that's watching, as soon as we say that we're doing something that's for the colored people, we get shot down. Yeah. You know, it's automatically like it's a reverse discrimination. You know, we get to hear that bullshit. And I'm like, girl, me personally as a coach, if you're a white person and only want to make a product for white people, I don't give a damn. I just want you to do what it is that you called to do, and that's it. But that meant a lot of conversations had to come out, because in the beginning, when she used to make her videos, she used to be like, yeah, you know, I want people to learn how to speak Spanish. Like, you better tell me you want, it put emphasis on the fact that you want them little brown babies to want to learn to speak language. And so something was missing in her vocals, and that not coming out that way. I'll even use myself as an example. I got away from the freaking church, you guys. I got away from the stereotypes. But if you guys could see some of my videos from about 2 years ago, there's still something about that polite disposition and demeanor there. And every once in a while, if I said hell or damn, I kind of had that look on my face like, you know, what the hell are you guys doing? You could see it if you really pay attention to facial expressions, that there was a moment of discomfort. But something, hey Tico darling, but something lit up a fire under my soul. And I was like, excuse me, no. I can love God, the universe, all the people on the planet, the monkeys, and say shit, goddamn. And if somebody doesn't like it, I'm in my authenticity. And so I'm challenging you all to understand that you don't even know who you were, because 9 times out of 10, you were not allowed to show up and be who you were since you were a kid. Yeah. And so if you don't know who you are, I see your question, baby, coming in a second, and you're going to catch it in a second. If you aren't fully aware of who you are, how can you truly show up authentically in your marriage or your business? Yeah. Which means, this is your topic, Tico, there is not just one thing that you need. There is never just one solution. We're debunking the myths of the one thing, and we're peeling back the layers of the so-called one thing that people want to fix in their business, and to be disillusional and not want to approach the conversation surrounded about the things that are drawing in closer to mindset, your behaviors, and your character is the demise of your business. So if you keep on saying you just need one thing, that means that you're in a space of mediocrity. That means that you're in a space of saying, well, my business is doing okay. Look, you work corporate. Yeah. You go blue collar or white collar to be okay. You become an entrepreneur to beat the shit out of life. And it's literally, that's the reason why you do it, so you can break away from the shackles and the chains and the to-dos and the know-hows and the this way. It's so that you can be radical and still have the audacity to say you're professional with half of your hair shaved and for it to be a funky ass fuchsia / purple color. It's so that you could be able to change people's lives and put money in their pockets, but still say shit and damn every once in a while, or even maybe sometimes it's the only words that come out of my mouth, but somehow there's a damn message. That is why we become entrepreneurs. And so it's not one thing, baby. When we peel back the layers of the onions, in order for you to show up in both places, it's going to require you to say, you know what? I am going to be humble. And as my maestra would explain it, I am not only going to receive critique, I am going to seek out critique. Yeah. That is the true definition of humility.
And that's, I was like, I don't let that, you know.
I was on one.
No. And what you just said is so true. And all the things you were saying were hitting me. I was like, I'm about to interrupt this. But you had said in the beginning of this that you can't compartmentalize the attributes of who you are. And so you just started talking to everybody about the fact that that you don't know who you are really in your business. And the truth is, as you start your business, you really don't know who you are as a business owner. You come to that, you have a coach that brings that out in you. And the reality is, if you can't compartmentalize your attributes, ladies, if you can't hey, Tico, if you can't compartmentalize your attributes, then if you don't know who you are in your business, then who are you in your marriage? How are you showing up in your marriage? And the thing that I hear women say when we start to peel back and get that kind of perspective, when I start to say, okay, well, let's for lack of a better word, because I know it's trite, but it's apropos, let's empower you in a way that says, okay, where are you? Who are you? How are you showing up? How do you want to show up? Right? Let's start there. Let's have a place for us to go, because right now you don't feel like that's the case. And so you can tell me all of these things, what's happening outside of you. You can tell me that your husband didn't do this. He don't never take out the trash, and not about the trash. You just to respect what you're doing. He sees that you're cleaning up the kitchen and you cook and you have a business to run. Like, so you see this happening, but you're just really not going to support me. So you see that have a big launch, but you're going to come in my face with something that you know is going to stress me. You can't handle this thing with the kids. You can't do bath time just because I've done it. You can't step in and do, and they can tell me all the things that are going on outside of themselves. But the reality is, just like that woman I told you about in the beginning, who was nervous about being vulnerable, wanted so much vulnerability from their husband. Who are you and how are you showing up in your marriage? Yeah, because I literally meet so many women who have lost the sense of themselves, who are now business owners, who are now, you talked about labels earlier too, who are now business owners. And she was like, hey, I'm a business owner, I'm a mom, and I'm a wife. And those are the labels that I have, but I don't really know where it is that I fit in. I don't really understand what my place is beyond, let's real talk, just a lot of couples are like this, the domestic duties of the cooking and the cleaning and running my business and, dealing with the kids and being the nurturer. And this is what I've done. And this is the place I've been in. And it's almost like, can I switch it up? Because if my husband does do it, then he just feels like he's doing me a favor. Like, oh, I took it on this time. You know what I mean? You don't have to do it. And so while there's a desire to want it to switch, there's also a guilt factor of, well, I put myself in a situation, I've always done it this way. Like, can I really just say, hey, here, you do it, and expect that they're going to do something to help support and take that over for me? And the reality is that if you're feeling in that place of, I don't really know who I am, it is something that permeates both your marriage and your business. And August, you said that those kind of things are the demise of your business. So what do you think that it does to your marriage? And it's right in front of your face, the opportunity to say, it's not that bad, but to say, if there's any bad, if there's any hurt, I have to address it. I have to make an intentional action. I have to be married, not do marriage. I have to be married on purpose. On purpose. Because some of you are just doing marriage. Some of you are feeling like I'm doing what I feel like I'm supposed to do, but I can't catch up with myself. You ever feel that overwhelmed, like I can't catch up with myself? I don't have the time. I've literally had women tell me, and we've had to talk about this and break this down. If I'm honest, I don't have time to make my marriage or my husband a priority. I got enough time for my business. Maybe I got enough. I don't have time for myself. I make time for my kids. And I mean, holla if you hear me and if you can relate to that sentiment. But I have dealt with clients who struggle with where am I? How do I fit in? And how do I do this differently? Because I know I'm not doing marriage on purpose. I know that I feel like I can't catch up with myself because there's no pause button. You don't have to pause, in that way where life just, in the movies, it just pauses. But you do have to take a second to be honorable to the fact that you're saying this is one of your priorities. You don't have to have just one priority. Absolutely. Your business is a priority. Your children are a priority. Your spouse is a priority. Yourself is a priority. Okay. Yes. And so if all those things are priority, that's okay. It's just, you may very well need guidance to help navigate that. And that's something that it is that we do. Because do your business on purpose. Yes. Be in your business on purpose. Be married on purpose. Yes. You know what I'm saying? It's not accidental. It's intentional.
Ooh, it's not accidental. It's intentional.
If I was a Twitter person, I might tweet that. Tweetable, but I'm not a Twitter person.
And what does Camille say? She says, right, I know I had expectations for my husband that I just realized I was never really saying clearly. And I want to take what you said, I'm going to take it one step further, and I'm going to keep this as brief as possible. We keep talking about showing up fully. Yeah. Okay. And so it's never just one thing. So let me give you another analogy for you to understand that this is deeper than just learning, for instance, how to post. Some of you can say, oh my God, I just need one thing for my business. If I can learn how to do live videos or make content for my business, that would have raised my vibration. I would be a practicing attraction marketing, and all of these clients would just come to me. Because all you want is somebody to tell you, well, first you have to write a catchy header. And that header should be a question, one that conflicts their current state of thinking. And then in the second part, and the people will tell you all of these different steps on how you construct a post. Yeah. But here's the thing. You can construct a post without following the formula, but baby, if you come in head on and you are speaking the gospel truth, you will convict people so bad that they will be on your post saying, I've been running from you. They won't even have time to make a decision to go to instant messenger. They would be like, I've been running for you. I know I need your help. Yeah. But what you guys don't understand is it's not enough to have a system, a methodology in place, because along with that system is the requirement for the messaging, the vernacular to speak to the people in such a potent fashion that it repels the individuals you're not supposed to work with, and it attracts the people that you are supposed to work with. And so the very thing that you're afraid of doing or saying because you're not truly in touch with yourself is the reason why, and I'm gonna go deeper into this, and this is not the only component to it, but in a sales group, is that when you don't speak very clearly, you sound like a person that's trying to be safe around everybody, which means that you're a motivator and inspirer. You are not a producer. You are not someone that people want to purchase from. You are the kind of person that people seek free shit from. Yeah. How many of us cannot stand freebie seekers? I tell you, some videos I'll be like, look, if you ain't got no money and you ain't going to invest in yourself, I'm not the person that you should listen to. As a matter of fact, don't ever come to me talking to me like you need my help, because if you tell me that you need me, and I tell you I specifically have what you need, and then you lie to me, and when I say lie, that means that you don't give me a legit excuse. If I say a legit reason, if I say this costs $1,000 and you're like, wow, August, I was prepared to invest, but I only had $700, as opposed to you saying, yeah, no, this actually does sound really good, but as I'm taking the time to look over everything, I think I could probably take advantage of some other things that are going to be more lucrative. And I'm like, what's more lucrative than what we talked about? And you're lying. I tell people all the time, I'm blocking you and deleting you, not because you won't spend money with me, but because you're not true to who you are about your business. And so a lot of you all, you don't promote your business enough. I see another comment popped up. You don't talk about your business enough. You don't talk about what you do enough. You sit and you think, you be like, okay, well, I put up a post on Monday. Matter of fact, I was feeling really excited. And so I did 3 posts on Monday, and I even did a little something on Tuesday. So I'm not going to say nothing on Wednesday and Thursday. Yeah. When you cut on the TV, when you log into Facebook, when you get on the YouTube, every single day, you see businesses that then pay millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars to be in the front of everybody's face. Listen, if you don't do this, you're forgettable. The point is to be a permanent impression. I tell my clients, you need to stay at the top of mind for everybody. So you got to show up consistently, and you have to not be afraid to say, I am here for this reason. The stuff you say to your girlfriend in the kitchen, if you look for, and I'm going to use this other example. Y'all, I'm on fire right now. I'm going to use it to say, if your husband doesn't see your commitment, he wants to be on board and take, oh, wait a minute. Well, let me go back. Okay. If you lack passion and not confidence is the why you do what you do, you might as well share your post to yourself. If your husband doesn't see your commitment, then he won't be on board to take you serious. No one more. And social media is free. Hello. This is right here, people. It's freaking free. And so it's one of those things, and for those of you that got my sales book, you read this analogy in there. If I'm talking to somebody and I'm coaching them, one of the things that they may do is they may get into this zone where I'm like, tell me who you are, what you do. Oh, well, I'm a transformational healer, or I'm a health coach, and I help women who've been carrying their baby fat for 10 years, get it off because it ain't baby fat no more. Well, why do you do what you do? And it's like, well, or if I Or if I ask them a question digging deeper, like, okay, so is this usually the younger woman who's like really self-conscious about her figure, or the older woman that's fed up? Well, I actually kind of help all of them. And it's like, if y'all don't quit playing with me, I want you to look at your last 10 clients. And if the last 10 clients, 2 of them happen to be young ladies, but the other 8 were 45 and older, what's wrong with you creating polarizing marketing that says for the woman that's 40, or a matter of fact, I'll use you, Jean, to say that you foxy, fabulous, and 50, or fit, fab, whatever it is, 50, I'm gonna learn it in a minute.
Fit and it just
fabulous, fit, and 50. Why can't you say something that is polarizing like that? Oh, but I'm afraid that if I say that, I won't get the person who's 47. Nothing is going to stop you from getting that. And when you're doing that, it's deeper than you really being concerned about missing people. It's about you having the need to be a people pleaser. It's about you not being comfortable with just saying things as they are. So that's a mindset layer. It ain't enough for you to learn how to sell. It ain't enough for you to know how to create posts. It isn't enough for you to get the website. It's never just the one thing you're looking for. Yeah. Success in your business and your marriage is on the other side of you being humble and saying, I need direction. Yes. Direction. Foxy 50 and beyond. Thank you. 50 and beyond.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you, darling.
But no, it's so true, because at the end of the day, you want to be in a place where you can be convicted in your business and know that your messaging is so solid that it doesn't matter what it is that comes out of your mouth. I'm a marriage coach. Nobody, I mean, when I speak, nobody's saying like, oh, do you help singles? You know, I'm like, no, but I have singles come to me who's like, I want to deal with relationship preparedness. I'm like, okay, I haven't marketed to them, but there's something about the messaging. There's something about coming to me and not having somebody who's dealing with marriage and relationships who's just going to tell you to put on the lingerie and the Marvin Gaye, and men are visual creatures. So make sure that you keep yourself right and tight. Women are visual too, by the way, but they'll tell you all this stuff, and just make sure that you have a standing date night because it's important for you to date, and make sure you don't go to bed angry. If I'm not the coach for you, if that's what you want, because you can get that, you can Google that. Right, you can Google that. And so to have somebody who stands there and I'm convicted in my message, and I'm going to have real conversation with you about what it really looks like for you in your marriage and how to fix that, because that is what it is that I'm focused on and what it is that I'm going to do. If I'm the person that does that, I still attract people. I attract people who are engaged, you know what I'm saying, who are not yet married, because I'm convicted in that. And being convicted in who you are as a woman, for some of you who have lost yourselves in the labels of being a wife and a mom and all in the business owner and all of the things that are coming to you, and you have not had the moment to say, okay, I can breathe in life into myself so that I can breathe life into my marriage and in turn into my family, because I may not work directly with the family, but I know if anyone knows my story of being a twice child of divorce, and if you've heard it, you know what I mean by that. That I know that how it trickles down. I know that they don't need to see what you do or hear what you say. They feel your energy. So you think those silent treatments, and you think those times where you're just dealing in, I'm shutting down, and daddy left, or I went and did this, and we're not really talking to each other, and you're cutting eyes, that they don't know, but they know. I knew as a youngster, and I don't remember what was said, and I don't remember what they did, but I remember how I felt if I was in the hallway, feeling the Charlie Brown noises, but knowing that the tone wasn't good and that the silence wasn't good. It wasn't a good silence for the marriage, and it wasn't a good silence for the family. And so ultimately speaking, if you know that this is something that is a priority for you, that you want to deal in level of conviction, that I know who I am, I don't feel lost, I'm not putting my hands up like I don't know what else to do. I'm so desperately reaching for my husband to make these shifts. And the reality is you're knocking yourself in the head, because you know that you can't really control him and what it is that you do, but you don't know how to start with you. You don't know how to be the accelerator. You don't know how to be the catalyst for the change in your own marriage. And that is what I help people do. To be the catalyst and the accelerator in their own marriage. If I'm working with them as a couple, if I'm working with them as individuals, that is what I do. Because even working with them as individuals, they come to me and be like, oh my God, my husband noticed this. Oh my God, my husband changed this way. Oh my God, he's opening up to me. Girl, he ain't never tell me this. I didn't even know that. Is this the same man I married 14 years ago? 14 years ago, and you feel like you're standing in front of somebody who's different because he made a shift because of something that you did, something that you were feeling empowered to do?
Yes.
And you have to have that level of conviction in your business, in your marriage. And that's what we're saying to you. That's what we do, because to be able to do that, you need the direction and the guidance. You don't have to keep DIYing it and piecing things together. I've been there as a business owner. I know you've been there as a business owner, that we're trying to piece together and DIY. And in the marriage, you're trying to piece it together with this workshop and that conference and this book. And you feel like if you read it enough, that you'll be able to absorb it enough where it happens when you're in your house and you're actually having that argument about the trash, or you're actually having a disagreement about, the kids or something that happened, that suddenly all of the things that you've been reading are going to flow out of you, and it ain't real. I've never seen that happen. Nobody keeps the book in their pocket. It's not small enough to fit in your pocket that you're going to pull it out, and suddenly when you're having those moments in your marriage, that you're going to be able to figure out also to do step one. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that. You need to embody it, and you need to internalize it, and you need to have the path that works for you and your unique marriage to actually see the change, because we don't want you, and we said this before, and I don't mind repeating it, we don't want you to be mediocre in either space. And so we show up, and we show up hard. And we do. And for that reason.
Hey, y'all, I don't know why y'all need to be flooding the screen with hearts, because I know that even if it's not your issue, she was so freaking spot on. Whew, I had to have a couple of moments.
I just need to breathe, because we both are poets back in the day.
Right. We're almost in the spoken word zone up in here. And so when it is, and when the light's in the dark, and look,
it's true. It's part of who we are.
It really is. That's another unique thing that connects us. But Chrissy said, baby, you better confidently and consistently share your business like you share everything else. Camille said, right. Chrissy said, power in our words. And I'm going to skip down to the next part. She said, even the ones that aren't spoken. And then exactly, the kids are watching. They know. That's why I didn't want to get married. That's why people come to you for premarital results. You said, I'm going to have to go back and listen from the beginning. Yes, sweetie, you are.
You can't Pinterest your business or your marriage.
You can't Pinterest your business or your marriage. And so, listen, we are here faithfully every single Monday, talking about the things you guys need. Everybody's got some different needs on a different degree, but I'm going to literally tell you guys this. The way me and Imani work together, it is so damn radical that what we do, you get both of us for less than what it costs for one of us. Wherever you are in your business, I'm saying this from my perspective. If you want to expedite, if you want to accelerate your growth, coaching is one of the most fabulous things that you could do, as long as you have a coach like myself that is willing to be more in tune with your needs, your desires, and your vision. Not with my systematic process, but I love to intertwine my stuff in your stuff in order to create something even more beautiful than what you have, to get access, to be in a group where you can get information to really layer down and laser focus on your ideal client and what you need to do in order to get your business in a more thriving spot. The base, the first tier is only $97, and we are in that group and we go hard. We don't just give cookie cutter information. If you've been watching and you've been tuning in and you haven't signed up to work with us together yet, you really need to work with us and fix my business, fix my marriage. And you know what? Even if you're doing good, our thing is greater, because we don't believe in mediocrity. So definitely reach out to us. And the kids that would be my son, y'all. Jean, you said, and stop telling your marital business to people who aren't married. Oh my God, never been married and ain't thinking about getting married. Hello, so they don't even know what it means or what it looks like to stay in the thick of a situation and to say, okay, this is what it looks like to compromise. This is what it looks like to grow together. Jean, you are so freaking on point with that one. We have to really be mindful of the counsel that we're receiving and where that's coming from. I'm just going to say this because we're getting down to that wire, that hour where I know it's going to end up shutting us down, at least on IG. Ladies, we're here. We're here to help you elevate and excel in both facets. And even if it's not you that needs this, we ask that you share this video, tag a friend, let them know, and let's keep getting the word out to people who need help getting to that next level. There are so many holes in business, and I understand you may have this part right, but my question is what's the fullness of your business? Don't think it has to take you 5 or 10 years. Don't think that you got to wait forever. I work with women who experience radical growth and change every single day, and who do more with their business in 3 to 6 months than they did on their own in 3 to 6 years. I've even had women come to me, like Imani's talking about, people coming to her and they're like, I've been married for 10 or 14 years, but this is the same thing with business. There's a piece of exponential growth that is on the other side of working with us. We are excited to have you and Fix My Business, Fix My Marriage. If you know that you want to go for it, go. We'll put the link, and you could just start at $97 if you want to see what it looks like. If you'd like to have some time to talk with us to get more clarity and see what are the other layers of the offers and what else it is that we can do with you, then we're glad to talk about that too. The highest price layer tier is only $497 a month. And so we want you to succeed. We want you to be there. Join us. We're waiting for you, and we're going to keep on coming here faithfully until you guys show up. All right. So thank you all for joining us. There were so many of you. I know I'm not going to remember everybody's name. It was Tico and Orchard Entry, Camille, Terry, Stephanie, Chrissy, Camille. It was so many. Everybody that came, thank you. Everybody that's going to come later, thank you. Everybody that is sharing now and will share later, thank you, and we will see you next week for Coach Conversations. Oh, wait a minute, because she's running back out here. You want to say bye to everyone?
Bye, everybody.
Yeah, you know the whole video, Gene. Yeah. High fives. High fives all around. At least you're not like Tammy. My friend Tammy always come on my live videos when I'm late. So last night I just did the extended version of a video so she could be
see the kind of dedication.
We love y'all. We out here. Oh God, wait a minute. I gotta get YouTube.